Hi, I'm Adam Juniper, and you might remember me from videos quite a long time ago now about drones, and that is one of my specialties, although I'm also into my security cameras and all kinds of other things, and I write reviews for Digital Camera World, but I feel like I've been neglecting YouTube. In fact, I've even been told by possibly my only viewer that I have been neglecting YouTube. You know who you are. So I thought the best way to get back into it and possibly to come across or to go across my little niche is a gadget I've only recently heard of, although it's been out for a while, the DJI Mic. And that is a way of getting rid of one of the irritations of making videos. So you can see I have a dangling cable, and normally I have to stuff it up my shirt, but I thought since we were talking about microphones today, there was very little point, and I may as well just reveal how the sausages are made, so to speak. And here is my little lavalier mic, and it's running into a Zoom recorder. It is quite a lumpy thing to carry around. It's sort of reminiscent in many ways of, well, maybe not a Sony Walkman, but you know, if you couldn't afford a Sony Walkman, and you got a big cheap one. I got one. My first Walkman was from Boots, believe it or not. That's all by the by. I have in this box behind me, I really hope, otherwise I've been ripped off, some of the DJI mics, which, as I understand it, is going to be a bit like having AirPods but for recording. They're going to come in a lovely little box which will help charge them up, and they can even work as a slightly bigger clip-on device that can then plug directly into whichever camera I'm using and save the awkwardness of synchronizing the sound later. Now, you could argue this lighting is a dramatic line, or you could argue it's me failing to position the lights. You can make your own decision. The first bit of good news is the item in the box is the one I ordered. So let's see if it's what I wanted. I mean, let's see if it does the job I wanted. And of course, let's see if it reinvigorates my enthusiasm for making digital video. That's asking quite a lot of something. Encouraging box. It's a nicely sort of weighty feel to it. Little open. Oh right, don't need my trusty scalpel here, because there's a little tab and rip to get into the box. I've gone with the stereo pair option, which comes with two microphones and a box, but you can get a version with only one receiver and one microphone, which is probably perfectly adequate for most people's purposes. So in the cardboard outer, lovely DJI branding. We've got USB to, hey, oops, and now we have an interruption. Well, let's just slide it out. Doesn't that look nice? Wow, and it's come to life already. Although we can always top that charge up. The device is charging behind me. This open box. Let's have a little look at what I should be getting. 250 meters transmission range, dual channel recording. Well, there's only one of me, but I'm sure, well, I don't know if you heard or I cleverly edited it out, but I have at least one loud, very enthusiastic potential co-star, so maybe we'll hear from him. Up to 14 hours of onboard memory, which means it'll be recorded straight onto the microphones built in, as well as over onto any attached device. I can connect it to my phone, although apparently with iPhones only one channel, or I could connect it to the Sony A7 III, which is what I'm recording this on, and 15 hours of battery life, which is probably longer than anyone could stand to listen to me, certainly longer than I could stand to listen to me, even if I knew it was being edited. We've had the charging case, the little white box in the background is my, well, I was about to say it was my Apple AirPods Pro case, but it's actually a similar knockoff brand replacement because my original one got left on the tube. So the charging case contains the receiver, 2 transmitters. I've also got a carrying pouch, and here are some of the goodies. Microphone covers. They can go in the pouch, and the pouch itself is divided into 2 little sections. I'll work out the best way to use those later. All 4 lights are coming on in sequence, which, if that's means the same thing as it does with DJI drones, that we're in the last quarter of the charging process, but the last quarter can be the slowest, and I'm really starting to wish I did this as soon as the box arrived rather than waiting for the fun of opening it on camera. It's going to stop any wind noise, isn't it? That's definitely doing all the work. Look, on the side I have button I need to find, a link button. I'm guessing it's pretty linked since that is having an effect. A record button, USB socket on its own, and a power button. It already appears to be powered up from that light. Now we're seeing mono. Anyway, I'm just going to pop this on. I've got my lovely charged DJI mic, and I'm going to pop it open and see what happens. As soon as I turn it on, after just a couple of seconds, the charge indicators appears for both of the microphones in the box. Sorry for me looking down there. So I'm just holding it up. Doesn't it look great? It does. I mean, this already is exciting me more about the idea of bringing things here into the review pit and talking about them. The lights are also on both of the mics, although we're only actually going to need the recording from one of them right now. So at the moment it does say M because I've played with the settings. The settings are really cool. So now I've got this in mono mode, and the device, what I'm saying is being indicated in a monograph, and I think I'm getting volume in about the right level. That doesn't look like I need to do anything with the levels. I can actually do that on here though. Oh, I can turn the mic on and off. I can also turn on recording remotely, but I also have a record button here, so I'll do that when the time comes. First, I'm going to pop into my little bag and fish out a poor, unfortunate, deceased rodent, so I can wear this in outdoor mode. You don't need to hear me attaching that. Now, I admit that does look a little bit big, but you've seen bigger, and you've seen people holding microphones when they're outside, and a lot of the time I'm reviewing drones, it can be a bit windy, so this feels like a more useful device for me than the little recorder here. So there's a bigger record button, there's a small pairing button, but the box has already done the work for me there. So this is my favorite thing. On the back of this clip, there's a bit there that feels essentially impossible to remove. You see it says mic, and then why the extra lump? And ooh, I can't. And then if I push it hard enough, it's actually a magnet. So I can put this on my clothing, put the magnet element the other side, and now I'm wearing my DJI mic through the fabric of this quite thick sweatshirt. Now all it remains is for me to find the larger button on the side. No, pressed and held it too long. Single quick press. Okay, so quick press is the solution. Little record light has appeared on here. Don't know if you can see. So I know I'm recording. I presume, recording with both microphones. If I turn my head too far, if I turn my head too far and I'm using the older microphone, you can definitely hear trouble, because I just felt the bottom of my slightly ill-kempt beard. It was actually quite a nice cut about a month ago, and so I wanted it to stay, but somehow it didn't. and now I'm starting to accept I'm going to have to do something myself to keep it that way. Anyway, the microphone is now doing its work, so I can switch between the two, and you'll see notes on the screen to see which is doing the recording, and we can decide whether we like the job. But remember, this is only half the ability, because I've got 2 of these in the box, and it will be no bother to take the second one and let that join in the conversation. Why don't we do it now, since we have a backup? So if I just turn it on with the power button, now press record. Now it's recording, and the receiver is showing 2 records, and I have, since we're in mono mode, I've got 2 separate recordings being made. I can wear this as well if I fancy doing stereo. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's there. But I could also clip this onto an interviewee, and both of the microphones have 8 gig inside to record up to 14 hours. But mostly my initial experience, or what's exciting me at this point, is just everything seems pretty easy to use straight away. There's also the option to clip it onto my phone using, this can slide into the base of the receiver. So at the moment, really, the receiver is just providing me feedback, because I'm going to take the recording by plugging in the microphone's USB-C socket straight into the computer and just drag the files over. But if I wanted to record straight onto the camera video, I would take the cable, there's an out socket there, and plug it straight into my camera. Or if I was recording with, then I would clip this into the bottom of the receiver. Now it's a slightly tough slide in, which means pushing it out means pushing quite hard to get this out again, but that will clip into an iPhone even in a case, and there's a USB-C version for those with Android phones, and then you've got a working stereo pair, or for iOS users, mono microphone, no problem at all. This getting this the shoe mount is going to take a little longer to get used to, I think. Now I've got it right. It slides on at the bottom, and it turns it into a sort of difficult to see, but you see, and then it'll slide in and be visible from the back. So it'll sit on top of a mirrorless or a DSLR quite nicely. So the big question is, am I pleased that I have ditched a difficult to use, damaged Zoom recorder, which cost quite a lot of money and records onto is it SD cards? Yeah, this size card, and requires separate transfer for something which seems to have a lot of possibilities, is quite a lot more compact, and thankfully can be charged. My old recording device can't be charged. It has a stamina option, but basically it needs 4 AA batteries to be replaced from time to time, and it can be quite slow to wake up. So, well, look at this. I'm already doing 1 YouTube video, for which I really hope you apply liking and subscribing and so forth. But it does seem like something that's going to get me doing this again, and hopefully get the sound well, as good as you can hear it now, because this is a big and difficult point about creating a video. Once you get used to staring into the horrible black, slightly purple weirdness that is a camera, then, you know, sorry, that's you right there. It's definitely not just a black box with a glowing light near it. It's definitely it's you. So, love to you and any other viewer. But then something else that has always bothered and annoyed and troubled me is getting decent listenable sound, insofar as my voice is ever decent and listenable, without the trouble of going through the recording device, running cable and that kind of thing. And I would rather that than something a little bit bulky, especially given I tend to do stuff indoors and outdoors So this way, it feels like it's going to be a lot easier for me to communicate, and so I'm pleased with the choice I've made, and it's only going to get better as I explore the extra little hidden functions. The fact that I've managed to do all of this without learning how any of those functions work and just swipe up on the touch screen, a touchscreen mechanism which will be quite familiar if you've used, for example, the DJI Action or the Ronin gimbals, which can be had for relatively civilized amounts of money these days. All of which means that you can feel very professional without having to spend as much as you'd imagine. Anyway, thanks for watching, especially if you've managed to get this far. Do please like and subscribe. I know, I don't like to say it either, but it does help. All right, and next time I'll be back. I intend to look at this, which I've already had a go with. It is the Ronin RS3 Mini, which is a gimbal deliberately designed for cameras like my Sony mirrorless, and as I mentioned, little touchscreen.